Hello, this is Randy with Excel for Freelancers, and in this week's training we're going to be building a dynamic vehicle expense tracker. We're going to have a single click menu at the top. We're going to be able to choose from vehicles, repairs and maintenance, fuel purchases, reminders, expenses, and we're going to have a dashboard all built into one single application, and we're going to build it from scratch right in front of your eyes. I can't wait, so let's get started. Alright, thanks so much for joining me today. We've got an amazing vehicle expense tracker we're going to build right in front of you. This is going to be able to track all of your vehicle expenses. We're going to be able to track reminders, things that you want to check for in the future. We'll have a little dashboard. It'll cover any miscellaneous expenses, fuel costs, and whatnot. We've got it all covered in this dynamic training. I'm going to do all that. I'm wrapping it all up into a single click tab with shapes up at the top, so we're going to be able to do different sections. Really a cool single click tab feature on pictures, so I can't wait to show that to you. Before I get started, I want to make sure that you have subscribed. If not, please do so, and make sure you click the reminder icon. That'll make sure you get these free videos each and every week. And if you do like these applications, I'll include a link down below. You can download it for free, but if you want 100 for just $37, I've got an incredible zip package full of all of my best training videos. Actually, over 100 of them, all the applications in one single zip folder. And that's going to include a library, so you're going to be able to single click the video, single click to open the application, a really dynamic library. That's all included, and it's only $37. So if you haven't gotten that yet, make sure you pick it up while I keep that price low. All right, I want to get started on this. I show you how to create these amazing applications each and every week. If you want to learn how to create these applications and turn that into passive recurring income, I want to help you. And that's going to be through our mentorship program. Go to myexcelmentor.com. I'm going to show you every single step on how to create these applications and turn them into income that you can count on. You won't get fired from a job again. You will never have to worry. When you take my mentorship course, I will ensure that you have all the ability to create these applications, sell them on your own, and that's going to be coming from defining the application all the way into designing your applications. We're going to move into the development phase, and finally deployment, where we're going to show you how to license and secure, protect it, put it on a website, and create cash flow from your website. All right, that's great. That's in our mentorship program. I hope you'll join us there. I'll include the links down below, so if you want to check that out, go ahead. All right, let's get started on this week's training because we've got so much to cover. What I want to do is I want to create basically a single click application icons at the top, and we'll have about 6 different options. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save those first 2 columns just for admin, so you can then hide them. And this top, we're going to give this a nice different fade, just like we do before, but I'm going to format those cells. What I want to do is I want to create a really nice effect, maybe a fade effect, so we'll just use the standard blue color that we usually do. But this one's going to be very distinct because I'm going to create a really unique feature in this second row here. And what that we're going to do is we're going to be able to give it a single click. We're going to have buttons and shapes, and that's going to create more of a horizontal tab feature where we have horizontal tabs, and then we'll click buttons. So what I want to do is I want to put a button here, 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 and here. So we'll put different buttons. So it's going to be shapes. It'll be really cool. I'm going to use this one for conditional formatting. I'm going to show you how we do that. But right now what we'll do is we'll just color all the way down, maybe way down, just down here to 91 or something like that. We're going to go way down because what I want to do is create a vertical, so we're going to hide and show rows accordingly. So maybe on the first row we're going to show different vehicles. I want to have multiple vehicles, and I want to start that off. So maybe in D5 I want to put a vehicle list here. So this is going to be our first tab, vehicle list. So let's just say car 1. So we'll just car 1, and we'll just go down, a few different cars. I'm going to change that. So basically I want this to have a car list, and we'll include, maybe we're going to go, I want this first group to be from, let's say 4 to L. We'll go down to line 16. So I'm just going to create a border around that, and that'll be our first group because I want different groups. So basically what I want to do is I want to create different groups. So basically I want to create different groups here. So our first group are here and here and here and here, and then what we're going to do is we're going to hide the rows, and then we're going to go to the second group, hide the rows, and go to the second group. So this first group I want to call this vehicles. So let's just write that out, vehicles. That's going to track all of our vehicles here. So I'm going to merge and center that across. And then what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate that across each one section, and each section is going to have a different name, so we can track all the different types of expenses for those vehicles. And let's make that a little bit larger so we can see it. Okay, that's nice. I like that. And I want to do the same thing for the next. And the next one, I want to create a repair section. So what we'll do is we'll do this, and then I want repairs. This one's going to be repairs and expenses. Okay, so I want to track repairs and expenses. Okay, but obviously this one's not going to have a vehicle list. And then the next section, what I want to do is I want to have fuel purchases and tracking. And so what I'll do is I'll just copy this here, and then we'll bring it down here, and we'll bring this down. We can extend this gray also. So this one's going to be fuel purchases and tracking, because I want to track all the fuel purchases and tracking. And what about the next one? I also want to know information about reminders. I want to keep track of if there's an oil change needed or if there's some kind of maintenance that's regular. I want to know that. So the best thing to do is do reminders. This one's going to be a little bit larger though, because I want to track multiple reminders. So let's go down about to 60 here, and I'm going to format that cells, put a border around that just temporarily so we can keep track of the different sections. And we're going to call this one reminders. Just call it reminders. Merge and center. Again, I'm just going to copy this here and then paste it down here because I want to make sure it's the same size, and we'll call this reminders. So we're going to have reminders of different aspects of our car maintenance that we want to keep track of. So lastly, I want to have meter tracking, and then we'll put in reports. So meter tracking is going to be the same as purchase and tracking. It means I want to track, I want to know the meter, you know, how many kilometers did it go and what dates, and I want to keep track of all of that. And so we'll call that meter tracking, and each one of these are going to be a tab, so that way we're just going to see only one section at a time. And then lastly, I want a complete dashboard. I think that's going to really help us. So I want to know all the costs per particular car, or all of the different meters and the information, fuel and repair expenses. So I want that. So vehicle dashboard. Okay, that's going to round it out. Now we've got our sections. So what I want to do is I want to display only one of these sections at a single time. And I want to use a tab to do that. And so make sure we have all of our tabs on correctly. We can make this one a little bit larger. I think we're going to need some more room for this. So let's go down to say 90. All right, I'm going to format those cells, and I'm just going to bring it up. What I'm going to use is blue color all the way down here, and just that's going to be enough. That'll cover our dashboard. We'll give it a little bit larger dashboard here, so we've got it covered. Okay, I'm going to format those cells again. All right, now that we've got our basics, what I want to do is I want to enter some shapes, and I want to basically have a single click. So as we click on each item here, the rows show and hide accordingly. So let's give it a title. Of course, we need a title on our application, and we also need some icons. So let's going to call this Vehicle Expense Tracker. Okay, and then I'll just merge and center that, give it a font, increase the font up, and then I'll just use a specific font that I like. Okay, so we've got our vehicle expense tracker, and let's put in some icons and some buttons now so we can build this out and see just how we're going to do that. So I'm going to insert some pictures, and what pictures do I want? I've got some pictures here saved up for this one, so let's bring them all in just for this application. So I'm going to bring in everything but the cars. We're going to add the cars in a little bit later on. That's per particular car. We're going to be allowed to show car pictures. Okay, good. Now I'm just going to bring those heights down to something a little bit more manageable. All right, good. So we have this. We're going to use this for our buttons. I want to be able to add vehicles. We're going to use this also. And I want to use these for our reminders. This is for our buttons. So I'll start separating these here so we know exactly what we want to put in. I want to be able to add vehicles. I want to be able to show a dashboard. I want to show reminders. So this is going to be a very comprehensive application. So I can't wait to show it to you and bring it to life right in front of you. I'm going to use this for our vehicles, and I'm going to use this for our main logo here just so we can see that. That's nice. Give it not too much because I want to save room for our buttons. Now I want to create a background for the button. Okay, so let's do just that. What I'll do is I'm going to insert it. Basically a square shape is what I want for our backgrounds, and something like this, and I'll keep it about point. Let's see, let's point some more and then make it a little bit bigger, 0.94. Okay, so we have that. Let's give it a color that's a little bit different, something like that. Perfect. So that's what I want. I want to duplicate. I'm going to have about 6 buttons just that shape. So let's duplicate that 6 different times and we'll bring them side. And I want to actually, let's change the border on that. I want a border consistent with our theme here. So I'm going to right click, format the object, and we'll give it a border of, let's see, a line color, solid line. I'm going to use the same color here. Okay, that'll be good. That's exactly what I want. And let's duplicate it. We want one more button. And so basically what I want to do is I want to put these icons on top of these buttons and use these buttons to control the tab. You can do this in your application as well. So we're going to have 6 of them different total, and I want them to line up here according to the columns. Just put them up here, line them up all the way. So okay, so now we've got our buttons here, and then on top of these things I'm going to put the card, the maintenance, then I'm going to put probably the fuel because I want to know the fuel, and then I want to put reminders, and then the last thing is the reports, and then I think this one we don't use. I don't like that one. Okay, so then I've got that there. Now let's size these accordingly. I'm going to hold down the control. I want to bring them to the front, so I'm going to do format, bring forward, and then bring to the front, and then I'm going to align them. Let's give them bigger, 0.6, and that's pretty good right there. Okay, and then what I want to do is I want to bring them basically on top of these buttons just like this, nice and big and nice and clear so we can see them accordingly. Okay, I like that. And now all we need to do is center them. So I'm going to hold down the control, and I've got my shortcuts here, center and center. And then I'm going to do the same thing here, and then I'm going to group them, right? So they're centered, and then they're going to act as tab buttons. It's going to be really cool. So when we select these, it's going to open up those individual tabs accordingly. So all we need to do is, again, make sure they're centered, and then we'll group them. So I hold down the control, move, and now we can group them. Normally we'll name them. I'm just going to group them now so that way they stay together, and then I'm going to group them one more time into a single menu here. So just using my shortcuts here, you can put your own shortcuts at the top. Things that you use often should always be at the top here, and that's what I tried to do here. All right, it looks good. We're all grouped together now. And now all we need to do is just line them up, and I'd like to line them up according to these columns, and I'm going to bring them down, but I want to make sure that they're aligned to these columns. That looks good right there, so I'll just bring it down, and then I'm going to align them together just like that, and then I'll do the same thing because that way they're nice and tight and all aligned together. And I'll show you why we're going to align them to the columns. I think it's very important as we align them accordingly because we want the column. I'm going to use a conditional formatting to show which one's open. It's a really cool effect, and basically we're going to use the row below and conditional formatting. It's going to show us which tab is open, so I think it's going to be really helpful. Something very unique too as well to our training here. That's why I'm lining them up according to the columns. You notice how J is exactly aligned to this column, and I'm going to double check them and align them, and I'll show you a trick to do that. So basically when we want to line up, I want to line this column up exactly as it is. This looks good. You see how they were lined up perfectly? Perfect here. Okay, we're good. So that's exactly what I want. Now once I have all this, again, I'm going to hold down my control and group. And the second thing, the first thing you want to do is group. Second most important thing, especially when you have sizing, size and properties, and always go into the properties and move but don't size. That way if the columns move, these shapes don't move. So now I'm also going to raise it up, and I want it exactly aligned to this, right? See this row here? I want it aligned. Why is that? Because I'm going to use conditional formatting here, here, and here to show which tab. So notice it's a little bit too high. I want to bring it down right on the border there, right there. So that way if we have a border here, it's going to line up accordingly. Right? So I want to know which tab was open. As we click these, if we click this, vehicles is going to show up. If we click this, repairs and maintenance is going to show up. And so on and so forth for all 6 different tabs. And conditional formatting is going to help us do that. So we're going to be able to understand how that works through conditional formatting. So let's get into that and let's show how we get this tab, and let's make this functioning before we add in our buttons. We'll keep these up here. We're going to add in some buttons very, very soon. All right, so how do we apply that conditional formatting? Well, the first thing I want to know is what selected tab should be open. And let's just put that here. We'll call it selected tab. And then I'm just going to put, let's say 5, right? It's going to be 5, 6, 7, or 8. It's based on the column. E would be 5 based on the column equals column, right? So you see that's 5. The next one's 6 and so on. So when this turns 5, what do I want to happen? I want to give it a special effect. What kind of effect? Let's highlight all of the cells in which we want to apply the conditional formatting, manage rules, and then create a new rule. And I'm going to go into format, and I'm going to use a formula, I should say, and I'm going to use a formula equals column